So I assume it is safe to say that the all-new 2020 Corvette C8 has been fairly well received by most people, and for good reason. The all-new Corvette looks like it provides incredible value given the performance figure that we've been told. GM and Chevrolet look like they had a goal in mind, and so far as we can tell, they have hit that goal. And because of that factor, there is no shortage of coverage on this car. From car magazines all the way to YouTube creators. A very large YouTube creator, Donut Media, actually just got up close and personal with the all-new Corvette C8. They were only the second person to get to put out that coverage after Jay Leno. And it was a great video. You got to kind of see the car up and close and get to see a perspective that we haven't seen so far. If you haven't checked out that video, I will put a link below so you all can see that. But fun little bit of information. In that video, they actually featured a thumbnail that I had for one of my videos of me reviewing my C6 Corvette. Now, whether that's the reason I gave that example is up for debate, but I digress. However, the real point I wanted to make on this is that with all this coverage, with all this clout around the 2020 Corvette, it is actually overshadowing another vehicle that many people have been waiting so long to see. And of course, that is the 2020 Toyota Supra. So for today's video, I want to compare the two cars side by side. And I think by the end of the video, you're going to see the crazy amount of similarities between the two cars. However, there is one that comes out as a clear winner. Now, with that being said, a lot of my subscribers are already aware that I do have an allocation put down for an all-new 2020 Corvette. So to keep myself unbiased in the matter, I'm not going to provide any of my opinions on the two cars, but we are going to start with the facts of both cars, the specifications for the engine, transmission, and so on. Now, jumping into the engines that power these vehicles, we'll see on the 2020 Supra that it comes with a 3.0 liter twin-scrolled turbocharged inline six. Now, of course, this is the same engine found on the BMW Z4. They share a very similar platform and many of the same components, and this allows the Supra to have a 50-50 weight split. In addition, the engine puts out 335 horsepower over 365 pound-feet of torque. As we move over to the Corvette, we'll notice that it has a much more beefy 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8. This is dubbed the LT2 and is a reworked version of the previous generation's LT1. It is good for 495 horsepower over 470 pound-feet of torque, and you can see that there's a massive difference in power. And while power isn't everything, once we take into weight consideration, we'll see that there is a big difference between these two vehicles. Moving on to the transmission, both of the cars feature a 8-speed transmission. However, there is a pretty big difference between the two, as the Supra just comes with a traditional 8-speed automatic. The transmission in the Corvette is a brand new full dual clutch transmission, and it should be much faster in its shift times. I would say this is a pretty big advantage towards the Corvette. Now, as we move on to the actual curb weight, we finally just got revealed the all-new Corvette's curb weight, and that is 3,366 pounds. Of course, that is dry with no fluids, whereas the Supra actually weighs 3,397 pounds at curb weight. So they both are very similar, and with fluids, a lot of people think that the Corvette will most likely weigh more, but it's going to be a very close comparison towards weight. The next thing we'll take a look at is the engine layout, and of course this is probably the biggest change of all for the Corvette, and we have gone from a front engine to a mid-engine layout where the engine now resides behind the driver. The Supra has kept theirs as the traditional layout where it sits in front of the driver as a front engine vehicle. Now, moving on from there, we'll get to some of the times, and the 0 to 60 times definitely tell a story of how different these cars have it in terms of performance. Starting with the Supra, the alleged time for the 0 to 60 from Supra was actually 4.2 seconds. However, Motor Trend and Car and Driver have both reported sub 4 second 0 to 60s of a 3.8 and 3.9 second respectively. Whereas the Corvette, we do not have an official 0 to 60, but we have been told under perfect conditions with the performance exhaust, we could achieve a 0 to 60 of under 3 seconds. Now, this is a huge boost in performance figures for the all-new Corvette, and a huge portion of it is due to the change in layout. Chevrolet knew what they needed out of their all-new Corvette, and they did what they had to do. They were pushing the bounds of what a front-engine Corvette could do, and we are now seeing them prosper from changing it to a mid-engine layout. Engineering Explained actually did an in-depth video detailing all this information. If you want to go check it out, it's an awesome video, and he explains all of the grip, the weight distribution, how everything works, and why Chevrolet did what they did with the all-new Corvette. The next topic we're going to cover is the MPG of the vehicles. I'm just kidding. I don't think that's a thing. Yeah, we're not going to make that a thing. That's not a topic that we are interested in with these vehicles. So the final topic we're going to go over is pricing, and this is absolutely where the Supra prices out the Corvette. The Supra pricing is $49,900 at base. That's with no options, and it can obviously go up from there. Whereas the Corvette C8, our pricing isn't exactly known yet, but they have told us it will start at under $60,000. So if we say $59,900, we're talking about a $10,000 difference between these cars. And that is a pretty good chunk of money. So of course, to recap everything we went over between the two vehicles, I actually made up a whiteboard so you all could see the differences between the cars laid out. So here we have the main differences between the two vehicles. We can see horsepower, 495 horsepower versus 335. The winner of that is the C8. It has 160 more horsepower than the Supra. Torque, 470 over 365. Again, the C8 trumps it by 105 torque. 0 to 60. Now, this is where we know it's a sub 3 second car, so I gave it a 2.99. It could be 2.95, but to be realistic, let's make a 2.99. Then we have a 3.9 given to us by Motor Trend. That gives us a 0.91 second difference, 0 to 60. I cannot express enough how big of a difference 0.9 of a second is to 0 to 60. That's a huge, huge difference. And of course, that's thanks to the weight distribution as well as that very, very nice gearing on the dual clutch transmission. We then have braking put out for the two cars. 90 foot was on the previous generation. They're saying we might even get better braking on this car due to the mid-engine layout, but I used last generation's just as a number, which was 90 feet from a 60 to 0 roll, and then the braking for the Supra is 99 feet. So 9 feet difference. So better braking on the C8. It wins there as well. Then here we have curb weight, 3,366 pounds versus 3,397. The C8 is 31 pounds cheaper at curb weight. That again could change due to fluids, and it could be in the favor of the Supra, but that's just to show how close the two cars are together. We then have pricing, $49,900 versus $59,900. This could be even lower, but I'm trying to be relatively conservative between the two cars. And we then see the Supra has a $10,000 beat on the C8 Corvette. So after taking a look at both of the vehicles on the whiteboard and the differences that we have, I do feel like it's pretty hard to argue that there probably isn't a better value with the Corvette over the Supra. Now, some people may just like the looks or just the build of the Supra over the Corvette, but from a true value perspective, I think all of the excitement everybody has for the Corvette is rightfully so. This car is incredible in the value that you get out of the performance, out of everything, even all the way down to the upgraded interior and a lot of the tech components that are going to go into the new Corvette. And it's nothing against Supra. The Supra has been a long time in the coming, as has the Corvette. We've been almost 2 decades without a new Supra, and so I think there's a lot of people out there that are excited for it. It just seems like the Corvette has most likely trumped the Supra in a lot of aspects. Now, we don't have any official reviews on the C8 Corvette, so that is to be seen, but Doug DeMuro did get his hands on a Toyota Supra, and he did a review, and whether you like him or not, or the type of reviews, he's very detailed. He knows a lot about cars, and in the end, he classified the Supra as just fine. That was his terms. It was fine. So he didn't say it was anything spectacular. Now I would say Motor Trend and a few of those other magazines have said they really enjoyed the Supra, that it is a great car in the making and it really brings back the Supra, but some of the other reviews, including Doug's, I've seen do not say the same thing, that there's a lot of room for improvement and the platform itself has a lot of room for changes going into the future that could make it the car many people want it to be, but for a lot of them it's just not there yet. Whereas I think the Corvette is going to be the whole package, but of course that remains to be seen. Now this is a good point in the video to remind you all to make sure you hit that bell notification so you know when all of my latest videos upload, because I am going to be purchasing a C8 Corvette and I want to share my review with you. My hope is to actually get my hands on a Toyota Supra to make this video full circle, to let you guys know my true final thoughts on the two cars and just to see whether that $10,000 MSRP difference is well worth it in favor of the Corvette. If you found today's video informative, fun, make sure you support my channel, hit that thumbs up, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. We would absolutely love to have you join our community. Thank you all so much, and as always, we'll see you next video.